The Scorch Trials, the second film in the Maze Runner series. Before I get started, I just want to say there's probably going to be spoilers for the first film, and there is a chance there's going to be spoilers for both the second film and the second book, but I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, but you have been warned, so nobody can say anything. I'll start with the things I really liked about the film, because that's probably a good way to start, positively. So I really loved some of the direction. I loved some of the moments between that the boys were sort of sharing. I thought that was really sweet, especially between Milo, Thomas and Newt. I really liked some of their connections between each other, so that was really good. I also love some of the ways it was shot, with like there's a scene basically when they're walking across this sort of sand dune and you can just see almost their silhouettes, and you just hear a gunshot and you kind of know what's happened without having to see it, and I just thought that was a really beautiful way of doing it. There was loads of other scenes, that's one that distinctly sits in my mind. And I also love the way it was edited. I thought it was edited really well, especially with the tension and suspense. There's a bit where they're sort of in this abandoned shopping mall and there's meant to be quite tense, and the way it's cut, the smallest things make you jump. Like you were jumping at like things like boots being zipped up and things like that. So it was shot so beautifully that the tension was created almost. There was music obviously behind, because music does really enhance I've lost the word. Music does really enhance the way a scene can be portrayed, really conveying emotion, but they also use natural sounds around as well, and I thought that was really done nicely. So there was some bits of this film I really did enjoy. However, there were bits of this film that I really struggled with. And that's because it was an adaptation. Everyone knows my issue with adaptations. I will leave my link to my adaptation rant below. I just sort of rambled on about adaptations. This might seem a bit samey, but it is very relevant. It was a good standalone film. If it was a standalone film, I think it would have been good. It was well shot, and it fits a genre that is really popular at the moment. This kind of child, sort of teen, adolescent dystopian, when there is one person that's ended up going to be, for some reason, is special and has to lead this sort of rampage or army or resistance against what's corrupt and wrong in the world. Okay, so that's kind of where it stood, and it was a good one of those. In some ways I think it was better shot and better directed and more cleverly edited than other ones. I also liked the comedic timing in parts of it. I think Dylan O'Brien is very, very funny. I think he really carries it off well. His sarcasm, his side comments, his gestures, things like that. I've always found him quite funny as an actor. I think he was definitely well casted for Thomas. I think actually the whole thing was very well casted. However, my issue is that I really love the Maze Runner series. I think it's the best one for the young adult dystopian kind of genre, and that is because it is different. It is not this resistance that they're trying to sort of rally up. At least it's not in the second book. I don't know, I haven't read the third book yet, though I will be intrigued to after watching this film. There's no sort of massive rally in these books. It's more just kids trying to survive all the crap that people are putting them through. There is no magical ulterior plan that I have yet noticed in the second book, and that made it so different and unique. It wasn't a resistance, it was simply survival to its rawest, most basic form, while other people were sort of pulling at the strings in a way they couldn't realise, and I really liked that. And the second film had none of that in. It basically became a resistance theory. Predominantly, it was the Hunger Games or it was Divergent, thrown out again. The only difference being there was a male protagonist, which in itself, saying that's unique for a genre is weird, because having a male protagonist is not a unique thing at all. So all its unique selling points completely went. I feel like what they did with the Cranks made them more like these sort of zombies instead of these actually really terrifying, almost psychotic, I will say psychotic, that is kind of the right word because I don't really know what else to clarify them in, psychotic people who are still got glimmers of humanity in them with the way they're speaking and thinking, and that made them 10 times scarier than what the film portrayed, to the point that after the tense sort of jumpy bits happened, I was no longer scared, which was a shame because it's one of the first books in a very long time that I have been scared of. Actually, I will put a link below as well to my review of the book so you can kind of see how much I thought of the book. And because of this sort of separation from the book, which is so well done and unique and just a different take on the genre, I don't understand why they went back to the same. Well, I do understand why they went back to the same, because it was a safe bet for money making. But I just think, you know, the Maze Runner series is popular, otherwise you wouldn't be making films. You know the Scorch book is popular, otherwise you wouldn't be making that into a film. So why then abandon the plot that is popular to go for something that is samey and tired and I'm just getting bored of? Dystopians now are just being overrun for me for young adults. It's too samey and it's got that way, and because of how much it veered from the book, I don't know how they're going to connect it to the next film, because that's why I want to read the third book to see how they're going to try to bring it back round, because the ending is so different. It didn't feel like the same book. The second half did not feel like the same book at all. The first half I was struggling with finding it the same book. There was some parallels and similarities, and I might argue they changed it a bit because it might be carried out better on screen, or to save time, budget, runs, things like that. So that made, even though I didn't enjoy some of the choices they made, it made sense to me. The second half was nothing like the second book at all. It could have been a completely different plot and I wouldn't have known, basically. So I really did struggle with that, and I just think it's such a shame. And I was with a group of people who hadn't read the books, and they didn't say it was the second film. It was like two completely standalone films. It had no connection to the first one at all. And I think the reason because of that is because the second book at first doesn't seem that connected, but then is tied up so beautifully at the end, and it didn't happen in the film. It just ends and there's no connection or flow. It just felt very disjointed and kind of wrong. And so I didn't like what they did with it, but I feel like it would be a good standalone film if you haven't seen the book, if that makes sense. So I would probably give this film a 7 out of 10, I think, is like a safe number to give it. I still think it was a good film, don't get me wrong. Obviously the genre, they know what they're doing now in that type of genre and film, but I think it's such a shame because everything that made Scorch so unique and wonderful for a book of that genre was completely just wasn't ignored. And that really upset me because I was really excited for this film. Yeah. Okay, if anyone else has seen the film or has things to say or has read the book, not read the book, anything at all about the Scorch Trials, please leave a comment below. I would be loving to hear what your opinion on this. Do you think it was a good adaptation, a bad adaptation? Have you not read the book and just enjoyed the film and don't understand what all the fuss is about? Or did you just not like the film at all? Who knows? Let me know though, and I hope everyone is well, and I will see you all soon. Bye!